Well, hello everyone. Welcome. It's Pearl's Politics. So, what's the word, Thunderbirds? Well, I've got two words for you, and they are fear and hope. And when you add those two together, you get politics. And you ask me why. Well, I'm glad you asked because the whole world revolves around politics. Politics contains fear. Politics also contains hope. All right. So we've got a good show for you tonight. And I know that you guys are not that accustomed to us coming on a Thursday night. But I know some of you will not be watching now, and you'll see it in the morning and you'll see it at work, and then you'll start watching us. All right, then. So let me bring in the co-host team for you, bringing in the heartbeat of the South and every beat of my heart, my son, Tim Harrington. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Mom, how's everybody doing?
All right, you're on deck, soldier.
All right.
Thank you for your service, veteran. All right, y'all know we cannot do it without CATHY, C.C. CARLSON. Hi, CATHY.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. I'm double checking to make sure that we are live on the Facebook platform. Yes, we are. And I'll be sharing. Hi, Kathy. Got to get my volume turned down. All right. And I'll get to share as soon as you introduce our guests for tonight. And you know how we do it. The name only, welcome. And then we go to commercial break. All right. So who we got in first?
We have Attorney David SHESTOKAS.
And his camera just, his camera's here. Okay, there we go. Hi there. Welcome, Attorney SHESTOKAS.
Thank you so much, Emily and Kathy and Tim. It's great to be with you guys this week. And I think we've got some interesting things to tell people about what's going on in Georgia, President Trump, and my client, Pastor Stephen Lee.
Outstanding.
That's good. Well, can't wait to hear it. And I just noticed that James' camera went off, but Kathy, go ahead and pull James in.
Okay. Not really sure how, well, I'll introduce him. Yes, James Ziegler, and he's from New York.
All right, then, James. Yeah, your camera's off. Hi, James. Your camera's off.
Hey, James, your camera's off.
It's off or it's on?
It's off?
It's off.
OFF. It's off. I tell you what, we're going to give you time to get that fixed. We're going to go straight on to commercial break. When we come back, then we'll get started with our fantastic interview with our special guest, Attorney David SHESTOKAS, Esquire. I know y'all say, what is she talking about, Esquire? That's somebody that specializes in their field, all right? And he is a specialist in constitutional law, all right? Okay, so y'all hang on. Team, this is a time to share. All right, and there's James. He's getting in before the commercial break. All right, welcome back, James.
I figured it out from last time.
Okay, awesome. So, team, you share, I'll share, and then when we come back, we're going to let's talk, okay? All right, hang on in there, everybody. Stick and stay, and y'all share. All right, don't go away.
Ooh, we're firing up the Chewy app. Can't say no to these prices. Clumping litter? Resounding yes. Salmon pate? Love that for me. Essentials? Check. Ooh, we have enough to splurge on catnip toys. We did it. I feel so accomplished. Pet me, please. Okay, that's enough. Now back to me time. Love you.
Great prices, happy pets. Chewy.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I feel free to bare my skin thanks to Sky Rizzy. I'm celebrating my clearer skin my way. With Sky Rizzy, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. In another study, most people had 90% clearer skin even at 5 years. And Sky Rizzy? is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Thanks to clearer skin with Skyrizi, this is my moment. There's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Now's the time. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
To 50 years with my best friend and my soulmate.
Quick! The quicker picker-upper. When you gotta get it done, one sheet is all you need. And Bounty is 50% more absorbent, so you can use less and get the job done with one.
You've got a bit of your face on your face.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Here's a thread. The power to connect is the power to change. Connect 2 dots and change the whole plot. Connect one day and change a long week. Connect to one thought and change what you speak. Connecting these hearts, we change their flow, the plan, the path, the course, route, and road. Connect with uncertainty and change what we know. The plots that unfold,
The seeds that we grow.
Connect and change what you want. What do you want?
What do you want?
¿Qué es lo que quieres? Find it and lose it again. Don't like the hue? Change the color. Scared of the storms? Change their thunder. Don't share the dream? Dream another. Connect and change. Your phase, a place, the dance, the towns, the now, your vow, the news, the views, the fight, the night, the light. Anything you like.
Connect.
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 Connect. Connect and change. Connecting changes everything. AT&T.
All right, so everybody, thank y'all for sticking and staying and sharing. We are back. Kathy, can you get us started?
Oh, certainly. Okay, there's just one thing I wanted to mention on our bulletin. We had it incorrect, even though we mostly have it correct. But
Okay.
January 6th is not associated with Minister Steve Lee, whom David represents. So it's
Okay.
totally 2 different issues. Yes. So I guess I will ask Attorney SHESTOKAS exactly what is Minister Steve Lee being charged on in the state of Georgia?
In the state of Georgia, yes, yes, Kathy, Emily. There's in Georgia, there's what they call a RICO Act. The RICO Act stands for Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organizations. And on the 14th of August, Fulton County, Georgia, which is Atlanta, a grand jury issued an indictment against President Trump and 18 other people for violations of what they call the RICO Act. Pastor Steve Lee was among the 18 people indicted along with President Trump in Georgia. They're saying in Georgia, that there was this criminal conspiracy, criminal enterprise.
Go ahead.
And so
Okay,
something happened. I apologize.
That was
Go ahead, Attorney.
Yeah, go ahead. I was trying to spotlight him. So, RICO indictment, I know what that is. That's the kind of indictment that they use for the mob and gangsters, right?
Yes, ma'am. Street gangs, drug cartels, mafia bosses, folks like that.
Right.
It's not typically utilized for things that don't involve, murder and mayhem and stealing money from people. And so This is an unusual use of RICO. Yes, ma'am.
I understand. Yeah. And that's devastating. It's bad enough to be charged with something, but then it's even more frightening and terrifying and unfair when you're charged with something really that you're not supposed to be charged with.
Yeah, that's accurate. And as we'll get into it, it's going to sound kind of strange that they had any charges against Pastor Lee, let alone anybody else. But the fact is that a RICO charge, a conviction on a RICO charge, carries a minimum of 5 years in a Georgia state prison. It doesn't involve any kind of home confinement or probation or anything like that. Minimum 5 years in a Georgia state prison. So it's a very serious matter, as strange as it sounds, because ultimately, when we get to it, they say that Pastor Lee knocked on 2 doors and was on 2 telephone calls, and somehow he was involved in this vast conspiracy to overturn the election nationally. And so it's very.
So let me ask you this: when we're talking about the RICO, we're talking about federal, right? It is
No,
federal.
sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that the government has a 98% guilty rate. Is that right?
Well, I used to be a prosecutor, Tim, and actually you should have such a rate, because if you don't have the ability to convict somebody, you probably shouldn't be charging them.
Absolutely.
When people make up and say the government has such a rate, they probably should have such a rate, because they should not be charging people that should not be charged.
Right. Exactly.
But in this situation, there is a federal RICO law, and then in 1980, Georgia passed its own RICO statute, and that's what this case is. This case is not a federal case. This case is in Georgia State Court under Georgia RICO law.
All right.
Yeah, and there lies the problem, because states have different laws, and they can't make their own laws.
That's absolutely correct, Emily, and that's what's done in this case. And somehow or other, the district attorney of Fulton County, woman by the name of
Miss Fannie Mae.
Okay. Miss Fannie Willis.
Yeah.
And, somehow or other, she seems to think she's in control of the entire United States of America.
Yeah. I never even heard of her until this. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to get their 15 minutes of fame, right? They don't care how they get it.
That's exactly right. And this they've charged President Trump. They charged several of his lawyers, Rudy Giuliani. They charged a well-respected lawyer by the name of John Eastman, another attorney by the name of Jenna Ellis, another attorney by the name of Tom Cheesebro, and they've charged the lawyers in this case for giving legal advice.
Oh, get out of the city. Come on. Get out of the city. What?
There are what they call 161 in this 98-page indictment. There's what they call 161 overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy to overturn the presidential election. And several of these acts that they charge include lawyers giving legal advice.
That's what they're supposed to do. That's what a lawyer does.
That's what they told me about 30-some years ago.
I took 1 year of law school, didn't make it to the second year, so I switched over to paralegal assistant, and I got my associates in paralegals at the University of Memphis. But constitutional law is one of the first year classes, so that's what they told us too in law school.
I'm sure they not only told you about lawyers giving legal advice, they probably told you that there's something called the First Amendment.
Yes.
And the First Amendment has the freedom of speech. It's got the freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and also the right to petition the government for redress of grievances.
That's exactly right.
And this case in Georgia makes all of that illegal. Every element of the First Amendment is people are exercising during the course of these acts that they said that the Georgia prosecutor says people did trying to overturn the election.
Yeah.
And so it's really very scary. There's a lot of people that don't like President Trump and that are cheering this prosecution, and they don't understand that if there's any success in this prosecution, their own civil rights have just been abolished.
Taken away. It takes two things. As I said earlier in my monologue, it takes two things to run civilization, and that's fear and hope. And we have never been at this point in civilization, and I'm going to be 74 in 3 weeks, attorney, and I've been around. I know how civilization has been, and I've never seen our civilization and society come to this point of fear. If we're not afraid of this, we're afraid of that. It's afraid of something, and it's
Yeah, because I mean, our country was founded on our rights. That's why we left.
Yeah,
England,
but it's really not funny, like Attorney SHESTOKAS is saying. It's really scary.
It's very frightening, Emily. The fact is you're exactly right, Kathy. And I might mention at this juncture, I've got George Washington over my shoulder here. That's from one of the books that I've written. One of them was about the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
And the Declaration of Independence outlines the fact that we have these inalienable rights, and they're given to us by God, not by government.
That's right.
And the truth is that Ms. Willis is trying to do away with those, and it's not just her. All these other prosecutions regarding President Trump all have to do with somebody trying to create a situation where this man can't run for president again.
Yeah.
And one of the aspects of the United States is the consent of the governed, right? That is, we have the opportunity to decide who's going to lead us, and we've got a bunch of people in office that are trying to take that option away from us. Whether you like President Trump or not,
that would be a grave mistake. To me, they're not using common sense, because why would you want to incite a riot? Because what they're doing is, when you're taking away and steadily harassing somebody, the whole population, the whole populace is watching this, and the whole populace is not stupid like they want us to be. And people are just going to say, well, if this happens, I'm going to have to participate and hold up a sign. And so, do you really want a countrywide riot?
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
I have one more thing.
Sense.
Yeah, I have one more thing that's very important to know, because Tim and I are military veterans.
That's right.
Why would we want to fight for? Why would we want to fight for a country that doesn't observe our rights?
Yes,
we put our
could
life
you
on
say
the line.
that again? For sure, definitely.
Yes, we put our life on the line for this country.
Thank you both for your time.
Yes. Thank you all for your service, because you didn't have to serve.
That's right.
More than welcome.
Go ahead, Attorney.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, and thank you both, Tim and Kathy, for your service. And of course, you did take an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Strangely enough, in Article 6 of pardon me?
Foreign and domestic, he said. I like that. Foreign and domestic. He say when they take
exactly
that oath.
Right. And
we took our oath for foreign and domestic.
It does seem like we have some domestic folks who we have to defend ourselves against these days.
Unfortunately.
Which is really, really cool.
It does. Look, I'm going to say this, Attorney, and then I will take another quick break. I don't know if that's a tambourine or a drum that you have on the wall of where George Washington is, but it looks like
I'll tell you about that when we come back.
Okay, all right. I keep looking at it. To me,
I thought it was headphones.
Yeah, that's what it's exactly what it's looking like. Okay, well, we'll be back. All right, y'all stick and stay. Please share the show, because listen, y'all need to hear about your constitutional rights. Some of y'all don't know it, and now the Constitution is available for everybody to read online. If you've never read the Constitution, please go Google it, and you can read it free in Wikipedia and everywhere. Okay, but y'all need to read that, because what's happening now with the the populace, the majority of the and power that's in power right now is trying to steal away your rights. Come on now. We cannot go back to the 1800s. Come on now, y'all. Y'all know you don't want that. All right, stick and stay. Cheryl, we'll be right back.
This is Cassie. She never really paid attention to her credit scores until she got Credit Karma and used her scores to score more, like her first ride. When it was time to upgrade, she shopped around for a lower auto insurance rate to go with it. Even when she decided to blaze a new trail, Credit Karma helped her with an auto loan to get her where she was going. Where is she going? Credit Karma. Download the free money app where your hard work pays off.
Oof, gotta get rid of this.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks.
Have you tried new Downy Rinse and Refresh?
It helps remove odors 3 times better than detergent alone.
It worked, guys.
Yeah.
New Downy Rinse and Refresh.
Introducing IHG One Rewards. 17 hotel brands, 6,000 global destinations. One loyalty program that lets you guest how you guest.
Victor, why are you still living with odors? Get back in there and freshen instantly with new Febreze Air Mist. That's right, Febreze now has a new, finer mist that floats in the air longer and quickly fills the room to fight even your toughest odors. Leftover fried fish funk? Instant freshness. Gaming teen odors? Instant freshness. Spray new Febreze Air Mist to keep your home smelling fresh and clean.
All right, then, we're back. Thank you so much. Back to you, attorney.
Yes, ma'am. You're asking about George back here.
Yes.
Actually, I used to have a radio show, and my radio show was all about the Constitution. And then during the course while I did the show, the station had promos during the week, and the promos would be what they call a minute of constitutionally speaking. And I would explain in 60 seconds, I'd answer in 60 seconds questions like, what did Jefferson mean when he said all men are created equal? What did they mean when they say the right to bear arms? What is a well-regulated militia? What is due process? We'd answer those questions in about 60 seconds. And so I collected those. I put them in a book. And this George over here is on the cover of one of those books. And because it came out of the radio show, he actually is in headphones.
Okay, because I thought it looked like he was.
So we're right.
I love it. I love it. It's just awesome. Very creative. That's awesome. I think he would like it if he was living.
Yeah, there's actually also another book cover with Ben Franklin, and Ben Franklin's in headphones as well. And then I've got another book called Creating the Declaration of Independence, and that one, of course, has Thomas Jefferson on the cover. So we've got all those guys covered, and then those are those books. But and for whatever it's worth, those are available at Amazon. And so if somebody's interested in picking up a book. The Constitution book is got 150 questions and answers. It's really easy to read. It's not like written by a lawyer. My mom's 94 years old, and my mom was my main editor. Yeah, we are blessed to have Mama, and but she was like my main editor, and so in that situation, Mom used to say, "No, that sounds too much like a lawyer, right?" And so I'd rewrite it, and my mom would say, "Okay, this is good." And so that book is kind of edited by my mom, and so this would be that. So they're not books for lawyers; they're books for everybody, So we're absolutely looking forward to that. But right now, I felt so optimistic when I was writing those books a few years back. But right now, our rights are under attack. They are under attack. They're under attack from the government. They're under attack from the government.
Even for writers.
Yes,
with the book things, they want to put all these renowned authors that's been dead for 50 years or more. They want to pull all those books off the shelf. You know, they want to pull Shakespeare off the shelf. Come on now, really, Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare does have some rough stuff in it, but hey, it's usually not read until you get to high school anyway.
That's right.
You know, so why pull it off the shelf? You know, you just have it reserved for high school age only. You know, those type of books. But I mean, Toni Morrison, come on. I did my thesis on Toni Morrison and the guy that lives in Mississippi that writes so much. What's his name? James. The famous English lit author lives right. You know, he lived right down in Mississippi. They've got a town name. I can't even call his name right now. It'll come to me later. But that's what happens when you get ready to turn 74 next month.
Happy birthday.
Girlfriend, I'm 71 now, Paul, or Emily. I'm 71, so you know you're still a youngster.
Oh yeah, so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. There. Yeah,
David.
and yeah.
Now,
So
one thing I wanted to add too about everything, you used to be able to go to the press when you had an issue, right? And you could get them to cooperate or write something up. But now the way the political situation is so bad that people are afraid of even putting injustices in the newspaper for you. They don't even want to even acknowledge it. So
yeah, I know.
It's,
I'm afraid to put things on my front lawn.
Oh yeah, you're right, because people will throw Molotov cocktails at your house. You know, depending on what kind of sign you got.
They'll set my house on fire. I can't get out.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous.
I'm in a wheelchair, so.
Right, James, right. You know, and the only way you can show your participation is your property. Your property should be your property. But now the government wants to take control of your property even, you know?
I know.
I mean, we pay enough taxes on property taxes and things like that. And I feel like this. If I pay property taxes, I should be able to do what I want to do on my property. You know, and you used to could. I lived in a time where it was okay. All right, but no, you know that you got neighbors that's going to interfere in your business and report you.
But Emily, they're lucky I'm in a wheelchair, because if I wasn't, I have a huge garage out there and it's got a huge roof. I'd paint right on top of the roof, Trump 2024.
Okay, James.
And they can see that from outer space.
They can see it from outer space. All right, then, James.
Attorney Dave, let me ask you a question. You being an attorney and all, I understand that none of us have had a chance to look at the discovery, but where do you see these indictments ending up being, if you had to take a guess at it?
Well, Tim, the situation really is that, like I said, there's 19 people, so it's actually pretty complicated. I've told that there's going to be what they call 3 gigabytes of discovery, where we're going to download that discovery and several hundreds of thousands of pages of stuff.
Wow.
So it's very difficult. Frankly, there's a lot of complicated things going on. Mr. Mark Meadows, who was a chief of staff for President Trump, has got some litigation to take this out of state court in Georgia and move it to federal court, also in Atlanta. There's also a situation regarding another lawyer, Sidney Powell, who has demanded what they call a speedy trial. So her trial is scheduled now for October 23rd. And so while the Ms. Willis, the district attorney, says she wants to do it all together, I doubt that that's going to happen. I doubt that it's going to happen, and there's a fair probability. Yes, sir.
Yeah. She, as a matter of fact, she is catching a little backlash because prior to this, I believe about like 6 months ago, she was using the RICO Act for the gangs in the city, and she has one case. The RICO Act that's going on now has been going on for 6 months, and it's planning to be up to a minimum of a year of time. So she's catching a little backlash from that because the attorneys that are public defender are trying to find out what type of funding are they going to receive during that time span.
Well, that brings up something that, and I'm going to tell you a little story about dealing with the prosecutors in Georgia right now. About 10 days ago, I finally had a conference with the prosecutors and with we have co-counsel in Georgia. His name's David Oles. He's a great man. We're so happy to have him part of the team. And David was there in person, and I was on the telephone, and we were going over the conditions of bond for Reverend Lee, whether Reverend Lee would be released or not.
Right.
And some of the conditions were all standard stuff. Don't break any laws, show up to court when you're supposed to, be a good citizen. We got to the end, and they said, well, his bond is going to be $75,000. I said, pardon me? And they said $75,000. I said, this man does not have anything, in which case it would be 10% to apply. You need $7,500 to get out, right?
Right.
And I said, this is a pastor, right? He doesn't even own his own home. That's pretty typical in that situation. I said, he doesn't even own his own home. I said, $500. He's not going to be able to make that. He's going to wind up in Fulton County Jail. We had but they wouldn't budge. They publicized this. I saw them on the news where they're saying that the prosecutors were negotiating conditions with counsel for the defendant. There was no negotiation. They said, here's the deal, take it or leave it, or else we're going to issue a no bond warrant. In which case, for sure, he's going to jail. And so there was literally no negotiation. It was a horrendous situation. They wouldn't listen to anything. And this is a man. Well, we're going to get into Pastor Lee's history, but he should be an American hero, not a criminal. He actually was chaplain at NYPD in the aftermath of 9/11. He was chaplain to the law enforcement folks at Columbine after that horrible shooting. He was chaplain to folks in Katrina and Irma, the Pulse Nightclub down in Florida. In the gay club that got shot up in Florida. This man has offered his services across the country to help people, and now they want to put this guy in jail. And so anyway,
I'd have to say, as a victim advocate, I work for the judicial system for municipal court in Arizona. I'm also a paralegal. I would consider that elder abuse, to tell you the truth. That's not.
Yeah, right.
It's like more like elder abuse than anything.
I like that, Kathy. That's a good term.
He's 70 years old as well. He's 9 months younger than me. But although I don't consider myself elderly, Kathy.
Neither do I. I'm going to be there not too long.
Kids at hearts.
Yeah,
we hear you.
So they went, but they would not negotiate at all. And so they gave him till last Friday, a week ago tomorrow, to turn himself in at noon. And there's an organization here in Illinois called the Illinois Family Institute. And starting on when we found out what the bond was, they put together the beginnings of a legal defense fund for Pastor Lee.
Great.
And by Thursday, the night before we were going to go to Georgia, they raised $4,000. He needed $7,500 to get out of jail.
Right.
And I was on a podcast with Silk of Diamond and Silk on Thursday night, and I was explaining all this to Silk, and she said, "You mean Pastor Lee if he doesn't get this, he's not going to be in church on Sunday?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "He'll be in jail on Sunday. He won't be in church." And it was horrible. It was horrible. And she said, Pastor Lee needs to be in church on Sunday, so I'm going to make up that $3,500. And Silk came up with the rest of the money to bond out Pastor Lee. He went to bed Thursday night because I was on late with her, and we had to go to the airport at 3 a.m. because we were flying down to Georgia on a 5 o'clock flight. And so he went to bed that night and got up in the morning thinking he was going to jail that day. He didn't know, but his faith is so strong. His faith is so strong. He was thinking what he was going to do about teaching Bible classes to folks in the jail. This is what he was being prepared for. This is an amazing, amazing man. And so, but he got Silk in the next couple hours. Silk got in touch with us and made the arrangements and got the $3,500 here. And then on the way to the airport, I was driving the airport. His daughter was driving him, and I told him he's not going. He's not going to stay in Georgia. We only had one-way tickets, because we live in Illinois, but we only had one-way tickets, and so I told him, and of course it was on the car phone, and so it was speaker in the car, and his daughter literally screamed, that she was
I can imagine.
Yeah.
For sure,
he was not going to jail.
That's a blessing.
Thanks to the good graces of the Illinois Family Institute and Silk, and of course to all the other folks that sent in $25, $50 to the IllinoisFamily.org contribute. There's a drop down menu there that has where you designate what your donation is, and you drop down and it says Pastor Lee Legal Defense Fund. And at the moment, I haven't been paid anything. I'm not. We're getting, neither is my partner in Georgia. All the expenses, all the money that's been raised right now, it was $1,200 to go to Georgia and back on one day, because of course you don't have the opportunity to get best airlines, right? When the court says to be there, you got to go, right? And you don't get the shop for airline fees. So it's going to be an expensive proposition over the next year and a half. You mentioned, Tim, the other RICO chart case that's going on. As best of my knowledge, it's already about 6 months that they've started a trial. They haven't even picked a jury yet.
They haven't. Yeah, they haven't picked any jury yet. Yeah.
So this is it's a big deal, and it's a big deal. But this guy's an American hero. Before he was a minister, he had been a deputy sheriff in Mendocino County in California, and after that, he was an NCIS special agent. He was a federal special agent before he got the calling, and he went to seminary and became a full-time minister. So he's got some unique skills and abilities that enabled him to do things that respond to what they call major incidents of national significance, like Columbine and like 9/11 and Katrina. He has done service to this country that people haven't, because he's done it quietly, right? He's not going around trying to make money and do books and give lectures. He's just gone out to help people. It's just an incredible man. We're trying to put him in jail.
That's very impressive. Yeah.
So if the viewers want to help him out, it would be great. I see you've got the link there for the IllinoisFamily.org contribute. Folks, please, Pastor Lee needs your help. Right. And we've been helping, but they're beyond legal expenses. There's actual, real hard expenses, like going to and from Georgia.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You're right.
I just screenshotted it so I can share it.
Right, and excellent. I'm putting it back up again.
No problem.
Yes. And we have people that are coming to the show later on. And this will be seen later on, Pastor. I'm calling you Pastor. All right, he must be watching. How there, Pastor Lee? All right. Yeah, but what I was trying to say is that this show is archived, and most of our show is not as huge as Diamond and Silk, but our fans are late nighters, and they were, and they, and then we have a very large international base too, and they're on a different time zone, so they're watching this show on replay at 2 or 3
and
o'clock.
Growing every day, Emily.
Huh?
And growing every day.
Thank you so much, James. Yeah, God bless, and we will, because all we do. It
doesn't matter, carrying the message to everybody. It's important to carry the message to everyone. one.
Yeah.
It's possible.
The thing about it is you don't ever know who's watching.
Drag somebody like Pastor Lee into when they can drag somebody like Pastor Lee and threaten him with 5 years in prison, there's something wrong with what's going on in this country.
Yeah, I agree.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
We need to stand together, defend him and the other folks.
Well, he's a public. He's not just a spiritual guidance, but he's a public servant. He's a public servant, so he should be admired for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's any number of people after they've been hearing about him, they started calling him America's chaplain, and I think that's a fair way to describe Pastor Stephen Lee as America's chaplain. He pushes that off when we're together. Says there's a lot of great chaplains out there, and that's not fair. But you know what? I don't know any of them that have been to all the kinds of things he's been to render service and aid, and counseling and prayer.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he's certainly lucky to have you as his representative. I don't think he could have chosen a better representative than you. So, yes.
Yeah, I'm glad to go ahead, Pastor. Oh gosh, I want to keep calling you Pastor Lee. Pastor Lee is in my mind and in my heart.
That's what you're only doing that because you got trouble with SHESTOKAS, and I don't blame you for that. But as I told you that we were with Silk, and Silk was having trouble too, so she just went to Mr. Dave, Yeah.
But he's just in my mind and in my heart, his story. And I certainly will be praying for him. And his name is just rolling off my tongue involuntarily because I'm feeling his pain and his suffering in my heart, and he needs to be vindicated, and I'm sure that he will, because I know that prayer changes things.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Certainly prayer is as good as, and I'll tell you what, that situation where he did not wind up in jail on Friday when we thought that he was going to be, also it literally felt like a miracle, because he woke up that morning thinking he wasn't coming home, and he did come home. And
that was divine intervention.
That seemed to have the hand of God at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly, James.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right, let's take another break, and I'm going to leave that up there for the rest of the show so that everybody will be able to see it when they come and watch the show on replay. I'm just going to leave it up there, and they can hear the show, and then that way they'll see it, and they can just and I also have it here in the links, because they'll be able, in the chat column, they'll be able to just click on the link in the comment column, because that's what I'm showing, the comment column. Like Chaz is here. Hi, Chaz. Where's Chaz? I saw him here earlier. All right, there he is. Hi, Chaz. How you doing? So this is a comment column. So I'm going to leave that up there back and forth, but near the end of the show, I'm just going to leave it there so that people can click on the link itself and just go on over to the page. Okay. All right, then. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to let James ask some questions. All right, James?
Yep,
ready?
I got one for David.
All right, you're going to be on deck. All right.
You ready, David?
I'm ready.
You'll be on
all
deck.
My life, I've been waiting for this moment, James.
All right, then. We'll be back. Oh, we'll be back. Sorry about that.
So, are you going to Amy's wedding?
I don't.
So.
Unmuted. Okay, hold on.
So, are you going to Amy's wedding?
I don't have the money. Yeah, you do. Who are you? I'm you, from the future. And I just got paid.
And I'm Dave. I can get you up to $500 of your future money now.
Up to $500 instantly?
Instantly.
That's amazing. Oh, who's he? Oh, this is Paolo. We met at the reception. Hi. Hola. Hello. Paolo. That's me.
Download Dave and get up to $500 instantly.
Need to get your windshield fixed? SafeLight makes it easy. You can schedule it in just a few clicks, and we'll come to you with a replacement you can trust. It's great. That service on your time. Schedule now.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Welcome to the Shack 12-Week Shred. My name is Rock Shabazz, and I'm here to take you through the same program that I made for this guy right here.
This program is without a doubt a huge reason why I was able to get fit and stay fit. If you put in the work and stay consistent, you just might be able to keep up. It's time for you to get to work.
All righty then, we're back again. James, you're on deck.
Yes, ma'am. I seen you got a couple new commercials.
These are just so that Attorney SHESTOKAS would know. As you can see down on the ticker tape, I have a movie that's playing on Tubi, Roku, and Plex, and a lot of other streaming platforms that I wrote, directed, produced myself in 2017. And so everybody wants a series. Currently, it has had over 490 million views. So everybody wants to see a series, and so I'm doing some funding, beginning to raise funds. And so these companies that you're seeing are companies that are playing sponsors of my movie that is running, and they advertise their products and services on my movie. So I'm going to be coming to them for funding next year to help us fund the series. Yeah, so it's a lot of them.
I like the Tunnel to Towers.
Yeah, definitely Tunnel to Towers. Well, I'm not going to go to the nonprofits. I won't be sending them a letter asking them for donations. I just all of the nonprofits that is on here, I just put them on my reel so that people will know about them. But I love Tunnel to Towers because of what they do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just amazing. You see those homes after they finish those homes. It's unbelievable. And then the waiting list is so long. And that's another reason why I put it on my reel, because there's still so many veterans that are waiting for their chance to have their home built by Tunnels to Towers. So
that they earn.
Yeah. And so my goal is also to donate $11 a month. And as soon as I can get this website built, and hopefully it'll bring me in some income, that I can do that, Yeah. And then I worked for St. Jude for like 4 or 5 years doing the mathathons. Do you remember the mathathons, Attorney, when people might call you up?
Yes, ma'am. I'm old enough to do that.
Yeah, the St. Jude mathathons. I think you probably remember too. Kathy.
I remember.
You remember Tim? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the thing about it was that I don't think they have it anymore, but those programs really helped kids with their math back then. You know what I'm saying? Because
we're all showing our age.
yeah, they would have little contests within the school, you know, to help the kids raise money. They would have little contests, and they would contest, you know, based on their grades in math, what they, you know, what they would get, and they would earn. The school would give them money, you know, for the, I mean, not money, but prizes for the amounts that they raised and based on their grades too. So they had two chances to win. And so most of the schools in the United States always supported St. Jude Mathathon. And I was one of the ones that was on the phone that was calling principals all over the United States, asking them to participate for St. Jude. So the other one, though, I said all that to say this. I want to donate, and I'm going to try to get their commercial for the Shriners, because the Shriners,
That's a good one.
yes, exactly. They help children that are disabled that don't have cancer. See, St. Jude is only specifically, they specify in cancer-related illnesses and cancer itself. But the Shriners, they help all forms of disability except for the cancer. And they might still do cancer. I don't think they do, though. But they help the all the other children that are disabled. And people tend to forget about the Shriners, you know? Do y'all remember when there used to be Shriner Circus? Anybody?
Yeah.
They used to put the circus on. The attorney remembers, yeah. They used to sponsor the circus. I can remember when I was 8 years old, all the schools would bus up, you know, we go on a field trip and we'd go to see Shriner Circus, you know?
Nice.
But those were the good old days.
Okay, James. You ready?
Yeah.
James, you got a question for me, sir.
We're all showing our age, by the way.
Okay.
That's okay. You know what? I don't mind showing mine, because I thank God for every day that He's given me, and I hope that He gives me about 20 more. I don't think I want to live past 100, though.
And Emily, I'm old enough to remember when the lights come on, you better be home.
Exactly. I grew up in a certain way. You get that switch paddling.
The street lights come on, you better be in your house.
Yeah, get that twisted switch paddling. They already had a switch waiting for you when you were late.
Yeah, right. You remember the commercial? Tim, I know you remember the commercial. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Actually, ours was 10 o'clock.
That's right. Yeah, ours was 10 o'clock. And then you know what? They're running it again now.
They should.
Yeah, they're running it again, and they need to. You know,
Yes,
Memphis is getting out of control with crime. But I'm sorry, James. Let you get your question in, because it's almost time for us to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my question, David. I hope that wasn't vodka you were drinking.
Ah.
Oh, no.
And if it was, no big deal.
Plain bottle of water, James. Plain bottle of water.
Just like mine. Look, I got one too.
I thought I bust on you. But my question is, David.
That's all right. Yeah.
Before I forget, tell the people how we can get your books. I know it was on Amazon, but do we check under your name?
Sure. Well, one book is called Constitutional Soundbites. And of course, yeah, you can, if you look at it on Amazon and you have under my name, of course, Shestokas is a little challenge for a lot of people. So one's called Constitutional Soundbites, the other Creating the Declaration of Independence. They're both available on Amazon in print and in Kindle. And frankly, because the way it works out, if you ask for it in a bookstore, the bookstores can get them. So please, yeah. One's about the Constitution and one's about the Declaration of Independence. And actually, George over here is on the cover of my Spanish edition, Cápsulas Informativas Constitucionales, which is the only book in the whole entire world in Spanish that explains the first principles of the United States of America. And I think we need to be explaining the first principles of the United States of America to Americans these days. We don't teach it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we don't teach it anymore, and that's bad for us.
Yep.
That's right. And you know what? They need to start back to teaching it. It needs to be a mandatory class, you know, because I think what did we have? We had civics when I was going to school, and it was mandatory.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you remember civics? Yeah. And,
Yes, ma'am, I do. I remember civics. I remember all that stuff, but frankly, we've lost a lot of that. My one of the reasons I do some of the things I do, like work with Pastor Lee and write these books and speak on the Constitution, is my grandmother. She was from Lithuania, and she was one of 11 children in Lithuania. 8 of her brothers and sisters were killed by communists.
Oh my goodness!
So she taught me about freedom. She taught me about freedom, how important it is, and that's why I do what I do. That's why we're fighting for Pastor Lee to protect American freedom here. And I hope that I hope people will understand that that's what it's about. Because, you know, the situation about keeping Pastor Lee free, all he did was knock on a couple of doors and offer some pastoral services, and now he's indicted and facing up to 5 years in prison.
That's
ridiculous.
This is a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous because people used to knock on the doors all the time to ask for votes for candidates.
Sure. Absolutely.
I mean, that's the only way, you know, that was the main way to communicate with people. People went knocked door to door. I did it. My mother did it, you know.
Well,
now you can go to jail, Emily.
How can it be a RICO charge? That's ridiculous. You're a gangster because you knock on somebody's door. Oh my God.
It should not be any charge.
Yeah.
Because you see
No,
the thing
he should never have been charged ever at all.
No,
especially for a man of the Lord.
Neither should about 19 of the 19 people should never have been charged.
And here's the thing
all
about
it was people doing the normal challenging of an election.
Thing.
Yeah, I mean,
and here's the thing about
it's all normal. It's been normal for 240 years.
Yeah, if they didn't want people knocking on the doors to solicit votes for candidates, what they should have done was written it into the law. They have not done that.
Absolutely.
So if they have not written it into the law, then there's no violation of.
James was talking that he could put up a sign, and you were talking about what you could do on your property. If you don't want somebody coming to your property, you can put up a sign too, and say,
"That's
don't
true.
come to
No
my property."
trespassing. You can still put no trespassing. You can still put up no trespassing signs. You see what I'm saying? So if you have permission to do that, what I'm saying is, if they did not, the government doesn't want people going around knocking on doors to solicit votes for candidates, then they must write it into law. Because I cannot violate a law that is not even there.
You know, Emily, I don't think they have the authority. I don't think they have the authority to write that into the law. There's something called freedom of association in the First Amendment that prevents the government from saying you can't go to somebody's house.
Right.
If somebody wants to tell you can't come to their house, that's their business. It's
That's
not the
their
government's
business. That's exactly right. So if the Constitution prevents you from writing the law of what you want to write, then there is no violation.
Well, we the
That's
people
exactly
we the people believe that this is a witch hunt, and we know it, and they're not going to pull the wool over our eyes this go round.
That's right.
They didn't pull the roll over our eyes in 16 either.
Well, maybe we can do another show about 20 sometime too. I did work in Pennsylvania with the president's team, and I actually wound up in court with Mayor Giuliani, and I testified before the Pennsylvania Senate. A lot of things went on there. But that's a whole separate story. At the moment, we need to keep Pastor Lee and the other folks from going to jail. And actually, while we're doing that, we're protecting everybody's rights.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Because see, the thing about it is it's this whole crazy mentality that people have. Well, that's just them, or that's just him, or that's just her. And then they never think it's going to happen to them. But then when it happens to them, all of a sudden, They
Now it's a problem.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So we cannot let it get to that point.
No.
Because we are all brothers and sisters. We're all a part of humanity. We're all a part of society. And
Yes,
when
we
you
are.
mistreat one of us, it sets a precedent for you to mistreat the next person and the next person. It becomes a domino effect.
Yeah.
And see, that's what they're trying to do with this whole deal. They're trying to set new precedents. But those new precedents that they're trying to set is a violation of the Constitution. Plain and simple.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree.
And we cannot allow these new precedents that they're doing. You know, and you have to. Only way you can do that is speak up. Look how long it took for speaking up for civil rights. Look how long that took.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and it may not be an overnight victory that we get, but this stuff has to stop here. It has to stop. You have to.
The biggest problem is they're trying to take away stuff we've always had.
We already had. That's what I'm
They're
saying.
trying to take away things we've always had.
Yeah. And my saying is just like Barney Fife. We got to nip it in the bud. Because this is nip it in the bud. Yeah, because if we don't nip it in the bud.
I'm old enough for that too, Emily.
Yeah, you can borrow that one, attorney.
Yes, ma'am. I like that. We're gonna start quoting Barney Fife and Emily Pearls.
All right, but it's the truth though. If we don't nip it in the bud right now, and let them know that no, we're not having this. We mean what we say, and we say what we mean. That's the only way it's gonna get stopped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It could be that they're testing the waters to see what they can get away with.
Of course they're testing the waters because they think everybody's stupid.
Yeah.
Of course they're testing the waters. See, it's like this. My granddaddy taught me this, and I was an only child attorney, and I used to listen to what those grown folk were talking about. But my granddaddy taught me this. He said, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Yeah.
I taught my son that you heard what he said completely.
Mm-hmm.
If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. That's why you got to nip it in the bud. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Only they're doing it backwards. They're so, to me, they have no sense of strategy, because you don't start at the top of the pyramid trying to take it out. You got to inch it from the foundation of the pyramid to get to the top. So this is why everything that they're doing is going to be 86th. Y'all know what I say when I mean 86. They've been going in file 13. The people are going to win. I have no doubt. The people are going to win. It's true that we're going through trying to win, but it's a battle, but the victory will be so sweet, because the victory will be for every citizen of the United States.
If we all stick together, we can deep six it.
Exactly.
We need to protect future generations. Seriously, we do.
Yes, we do.
But I'll tell you one thing: these young people don't like it either. If they think that this is just an old folk thing, they got it wrong, and they're finding it out too. Did you see? We just had a ruckus up in our Tennessee State building with the Tennessee State department up there about education, and they're trying to do some legislation on safety in schools, but the people want them to do something about gun control. And you know how our Republicans feel about that. Second Amendment right, definitely. But they understand that. They understand the Second Amendment right, but they still want something done about no access to guns around schools some kind of way. Now, whether or not they have a plan, I don't know. But it was a lot of young people up there at the state building yesterday day before yesterday, and it got disrupted. I mean, those people were yelling. It was young, old, middle. Oh, God. Yeah, it was a lot of people. So the young people, they go about it in a different way when they protest. They go there. They don't know how to protest like we do it, like we grew up protesting.
They're an angry generation.
Yeah, they are.
They're already angry. You got it, James. They're already angry, and they're just gonna tear up some stuff. You know, they don't know how to do peaceful and quiet because they was raised in what? A very, very noisy and disruptive generation and time, right? So
as my mom used to say, they weren't raised up, they were dragged up.
Yeah, I heard that, Judge. But anyway, they're there now. And it is not turning back. You cannot retrain them.
No.
They're too old for that now. You know what I'm saying?
It's up to us elders to teach them.
They didn't have those. You know, this generation had a lot of children raising children. You understand what I'm talking about when I say that, right?
Yeah, latchkey.
And so therefore, these young people are just angry. And but a lot of them have an interest in politics because when you talk, it's like their childlike mind. When you talk about taking something away from them, they're gonna have a temper tantrum. It's just as simple as that, you know.
Yep.
And so a lot of young people don't like this woke stuff.
Yeah.
Because
I think I saw a display of that on the candidacy. What was the guy named? Swami?
Kennedy?
The Swami guy, the young guy that's Swami.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy. Those young people love him.
Those are the young people are backing him, and they're making some noise.
They're making some noise. That's right, Tim. Yeah, but a lot of young people like Donald too. So you know, and Donald is in the lead now. Now I'm gonna tell you something about Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy has some good ideas. Now he might will make a good vice. For Donald. But I wouldn't want Ramaswamy for a president. You know why?
He's too young.
We don't have time for
he's not too young.
On the job.
Anybody else can guess why I wouldn't want him for my president? Attorney?
No, ma'am, I don't have a guess.
We don't.
He talks too fast. He talks like a car salesman. And believe me, I used to sell cars for $100, and I know what a car salesman will say. Anything that you need to hear to buy that car. So,
all right. So you're saying he's a swindler, huh?
No, he may not be a swindler, but I'm saying that he talks too fast.
My mama used to say the same thing. Anybody talking that fast has got something to hide.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. You said that. Can we give James a round of applause because that's exactly what that means. And the main thing that they were saying about him was that he had taken Soros paid for his scholarship to college. Now, and I saw him on an interview on Sunday, Fox News. He said that let me make that straight. This scholarship was a general scholarship that the college was offering, and we as students didn't know who was sponsoring the scholarship. Now you know that is a lie, because when you get a scholarship, it's whether it's from a nonprofit organization, an individual, or a company. The sponsor's name is on the scholarship. Okay, am I right, Attorney?
Yes, ma'am. That's pretty typical. That would be absolutely correct.
Yeah. So Soros paid for his scholarship, and that's what one of the candidates. I think that was on the debate. That was.
Well, he's a billionaire.
Yeah, he's a billionaire, but I don't know, what does he sell anyway? Does anybody know?
I like the gas.
Medical
equipment,
medical
stuff.
devices and
Yeah.
research. He's got a company that's involved in medical devices and research.
Yeah,
and so
and he
that's
and
what,
he is
that's where he made most of it.
yeah, and he is an American Indian. Now I found
Yes.
this surprising. Yeah, he's an American Indian, and so, but for me, I don't want no fast. I don't want a fast talking president because, to me, it's not
Somebody
gonna,
who's selling BS.
yeah, it makes it's
That
gonna
would have
make,
been my guess.
yes.
Ms. Pearls, Ms. Kathy, I actually have some court in the morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to wrap it up. I was
We're
going to
gonna
say
wrap it up.
But one thing I was going to
Yes.
say, I would love if Pastor Steve Lee could be on our 9/11 tribute show. If you could give us his number or
Send
email.
me the details, and we'll see if we can arrange that.
Yeah, because you
because
mentioned
he actually was involved in that. He was there at the end of the 9/11 memorial tour. There's a thing called the 9/11 cross. Pastor Lee was the one that actually helped recover that from the ruins of Building 6. His name is inscribed on the cross at the memorial in the museum, and so he is really integral to that story. And so it would be great for you to have Pastor Lee on 9/11 if we can arrange it. And we'll try and do that. Kath, you reach out to us, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
That'd
He's
be
gonna love the
great.
video I did.
All right, so I'm not going to go around for last comments. I'm just going to thank Attorney David SHESTOKAS for coming on our show.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I know that you're very busy. I mean, it's just so beautiful that you took out time to grace our show. Kathy will send you the video and also the direct link to it so that you can share. And like I said, you can't go by what you see on the screen because we are broadcasting live on about 12 different platforms.
Yes, ma'am.
And so those different numbers of people watching doesn't show on it in the studio. So yeah, we even broadcast on Twitch on the Gamers channel where they play all the video games.
How about on True Social?
And Troll, True Social, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. We're happy to be able to tell Pastor Lee's story and the American story. That again, people that are cheering on these prosecutions of President Trump have no idea that they're cheering on the demise of their own rights. You know, they need to realize that, and they also need to realize, folks. They say that President Trump may be spending $30–40 million on legal fees, but there's another 17–18 people that don't have the kind of resources that President Trump has to do that kind of stuff, and we still have to defend them just as well. And so I know you had to do that. So prayers and money are very, very helpful, and we're going to work our tails off to see to it that Pastor Lee is free, and where we can, we're going to help everybody out that's under attack. And thank you again, Emily, for having me. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for reaching out to Shane to make this arrangement. Tim, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
We thank on the phone. It's great to talk to you, folks. I got court in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Good night. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Everybody.
See you tomorrow night. Bye.